Rocky Top. I'm Savanna Jacoby, and thank you for tuning in to a special segment of Torchlight. Every year, the college Republicans and Democrats debate over current issues facing the community, state, and country. That will all take place tomorrow night, but before that, we are bringing you the annual Torchlight pre-debate. I'm joined right now with the president of College Republicans, Alex Swisher, and the secretary of College Democrats, Kellie May. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Well, with that, let's go ahead and get started. So the first two questions, you're going to have 2 minutes to state your point. After each of the first two questions, the one who answered first will get a 1-minute rebuttal. So Kellie, I want to start with you. First, I want to talk about gun control. With recent events such as the Las Vegas shootings and the Texas shootings, more and more people are turning it into a political debate. What's your take on it?
Well, the college Democrats and the Democrats of the nation believe that it is a political debate. It's not something that you can just do your thoughts and prayers, as we've seen on Facebook and whatever, to send out to these families that are impacted and then something is fixed. That's not how policy works. That's not how America works. So what we need to do is first address the issue that we as a nation have the most guns per capita than any other developed nation, and we have the most mass shootings than any other developed nation. And those two things aren't some sort of coincidence. So first we'll talk about the Vegas shooter. I mean, he was allowed to have he bought 33 guns in a 12-month period. So within 1 year, he was able to obtain about 23 semi-automatic weapons. And then with that, he was fitted with a bump stock, which allowed them to act as automatic weapons. And because of that, those purchases were never even flagged by federal officials. Federal officials were never even notified that something like that was going on. And that's a huge lapse in our gun reform policy. And because of that, he was able to wound 500 people and kill close to 60. And that shows that we need some sort of step in gun reform, as the Democrats have laid out. With the Texas shooter, he was able to obtain a semi-automatic rifle without having a thorough background check. He was someone who was cited for domestic abuse charges, for charges against military officials, for threats, and also he was hospitalized for mental illness, and that all slipped under the rug with his background check, and he was able to obtain a rifle that killed 24 people without even having a license, which is part of the Texas law. So as Democrats, we know that what we have to do is more than thoughts and prayers. It has to be comprehensive gun reform across this nation to protect our American citizens, to protect our children, like the children in the elementary school yesterday in California. We have to take measures to protect the safety of our citizens, and that's what the Democratic Party believes in.
All right, Alex, 2 minutes.
Yeah, so basically, statistically, for every 1% of gun owners that have legally obtained their carry permit, crime statistically decreases by 25%. So in light of these recent mass shootings, while they're extremely unfortunate, I really look at it as more of a mental health problem, and that's something that we really need to be addressing as a country. That it's not guns that kill people, it's people that kill people. And so as our Second Amendment a right to carry and to protect ourselves, while unfortunately there are people that abuse that right, that statistically the crime rate goes down when more people illegally carry. I think that's just something that we really do need to look at, and really look at just getting these people the help that they need, and making sure that they don't slip through the cracks. Unfortunately, it was a filing error that was made by the Air Force that didn't show that he had been dishonorably discharged. And so that's something that's just completely unacceptable, because we have these pre-checks in place.
All right, Kellie, we're going to let you have a 1-minute rebuttal.
And I do think that mental illness is a huge part of why guns are such an awful problem in this nation. But also, if you look at any other nation like England or Australia, when they took out the ability for citizens to have semi-automatic weapons, their mass shooting rate went down extremely. I mean, there's no other mass shooting in Australia that has been recorded since they made that law. And I think that shows that if we took out such terrible guns, we could see a dramatic decrease in mass shootings and shootings done by mental illness people. I mean, suicides have been going on with guns forever, and we see that on college campuses. So I think taking out guns is the solution, not just blaming it on people.
All right, well, healthcare, it's such an ongoing topic in Congress. What's your take on the healthcare system, and what do you see going forward? 2 minutes, Alex.
So healthcare reform has been, pushed through and rejected and pushed through and rejected. So definitely the Republicans are looking forward to a more free market approach to healthcare, because when you allow the market to work in place of, making it easier for people to understand the prices that they're receiving for these healthcare services, because that's what they are, then you're going to see people going, well, okay, I can get the same level of care at this hospital for a better price, and so I'm going to go there. And so just allowing that market to work and not having the government come in and regulate, how we do our healthcare system, I think is going to make a huge difference. I mean, 55% of American families saw an increase in their healthcare costs after the Affordable Care Act was passed, and that's just really unfortunate because it was supposed to make healthcare more affordable for these families, and these were middle-class families. This wasn't the wealthy that you were just putting this tax burden on. It was definitely the middle-class American people that this was supposed to be helping. So this free market approach that the Republicans are looking forward to, hopefully passing soon, is what we're all about.
All right, Kellie, 2 minutes.
So what the Democrats mainly believe is that we have to expand Medicaid to all 50 states. And 32 of our states, which is the majority, have expanded Medicaid and seen massive decreases in what people are paying for their health insurance. And Tennessee is not one of those that has expanded Medicaid, even though our Republican governor, Governor Haslam, put forth a plan called Insure Tennessee that was supposed to do just that. And the Republicans in our legislature shot that down 5 years in a row. And that neglected to insure 300,000 Tennesseans who are currently still lacking health care coverage, and also 80,000 of those being veterans, which is a huge deal. So what we want to do is expand Medicaid to see that decrease in people's health care coverage. We want to decrease the amount that people have to pay for their deductibles and their premiums. And another huge thing that we have to do is decrease the cost of our prescription drugs. It's crazy that the richest country in the world has to send their citizens across the border into Canada to get a way cheaper deal on drugs that they need. We see this is a life and death issue. It's extremely serious, and when we're spending more than any other developed nation in the world on healthcare, and we're seeing the least amount of people covered, then the free market approach is not working. And the Democrats believe that what you should do is pass this bill by putting it through public hearings, by getting a CBO score, and not just pushing it through without any Democratic input from our Senate or our House, and making some bipartisan effort for legitimate healthcare reform. So that's what we think.
All right, thanks, Kellie. And Alex, we're going to let you have a 1 minute rebuttal on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree that a bipartisan approach would be best. It's really unfortunate that our legislators can't seem to sit down together and come together on this issue. I think that that's just something with generational issues, I think. So when it comes to that, but definitely, just going back to the fact that healthcare costs are so high, I just definitely think that taking a lot of the regulations out of it would help to drive down that cost.
All right. Well, we're going to have a move along here, and we're going to have each of you answer a question with a 1 minute response and then a 30-second rebuttal for whoever answers first. So with that, I'm going to start with you, Kellie. Do you think that the government's role to weigh on the recent events with the NFL and the players standing or not standing for the national anthem? I mean, what do you think about this?
Well, I definitely don't think that the government has any right to regulate that. So I don't think that they can say that these NFL players who feel that they want to express their First Amendment right and kneel during the national anthem, the national government doesn't have any say to say that they can't do that. If the NFL players went into some sort of contract with their football team or something like that and they signed that they were going to stand during the national anthem, then so be it. But that's not where we are, and they can do whatever they like to express their First Amendment rights, and we should all be very supportive of that because that's what this country is about.
All right, thanks, Kellie. How about you, Alex?
I definitely agree that it is definitely a First Amendment rights issue, and just as the NFL players have the right to, say that kneel during the national anthem, legislators and any person alike has the right to say that they don't agree with what they're doing. But I definitely don't think it's an issue where the government needs to come in and regulate and say you're going to stand for the national anthem, because it is a person's First Amendment right, and the Republican Party is definitely all about our rights and our Constitution. So I definitely would agree that it's just up to each individual legislator whether they want to comment on the issue, but I don't think it's an issue where we need legislation passed.
All right, Kellie, a 30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, I totally agree with Alex, is that we don't need any legislation passed regulating anything like that. And I also think, you can dissent for what they're doing, but also recognize and see that the problems that they're standing for are problems that our nation faces, and try to understand that. And that's how we come to a general consensus with this within our country. So, yeah.
All right, thanks, Kellie. So I want to move on to the president, specifically his use of social media. And I want to start with you, Alex. I want to get your opinion on what do you think about him using Twitter to get across some of his main points?
Yeah, I definitely think that President Trump, used Twitter to his advantage to, possibly even win the election with the help of the media. But, you have Republican legislators alike saying, dude, come on, seriously, can we just stop with all the just ridiculous tweets? But I definitely think that it can be and should be utilized as an effective tool to get his message out to the Republican, but the American people, and to just, let them know what's going on. I definitely think it's a way that he can engage with people, but I think it's something that he lately has abused, and that it's something that he should really take a look at, how maturely he's going to be using it.
All right. Thanks, Alex. How about you, Kellie?
I totally agree with Alex, is that he has abused it, and it's embarrassing to this country. It's dangerous the way he's using it, and he totally has an official capacity to use Twitter like President Obama did, and, to show the values of our nation, to the values of what the president should stand for. But recently, he tries to do national security and foreign policy over Twitter, calling, Kim Jong-un the Rocket Man. And how is that ever going to be considered appropriate? So I definitely think he should back off a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a 30-second rebuttal on that, Alex?
I don't really have a rebuttal.
What can you really say? All right, so let's move on to the final question here. Let's talk about, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican. Do you believe that there's a bigger divide within our own parties, within parties alike? Kellie, let's start with you.
I definitely think there is division across this country, and I have to attribute some of that to Donald Trump. I think he ran a very divisive campaign in 2016 and continues to be a divisive president among American people, and that translates into our own political parties. I know that the Republicans are divided within their own party, and the Democrats see the same. So what we have to do as a nation, if we want to get anything done over these next 4 years, is to come together without talking about Donald Trump and see how our interests align with each other and try to make some comprehensive policy that helps Americans.
All right, what about you, Alex?
Yeah, I would definitely agree that there's a huge divide between the Republicans and Democrats, and I think that that's really, kind of a reason that we're not really getting anything passed through Congress right now, because while the Republicans hold a majority, there is a lot of divide within our own party, about the direction of if you're going to support President Donald Trump or if you're going to really just go against him. We've seen that a lot with Senator Bob Corker. We've seen, pushback with Senator John McCain, just with healthcare and just different things like that. So I definitely think that there's a huge divide within our own parties and really just with each other. And so I really don't even know right now where to begin on rebuilding that, but I definitely think that we really need to look towards electing people that are going to be a lot less divisive.
Right. Do you have a rebuttal for that?
I don't really have a rebuttal, but I do think that we need to look into 2018 and elect people that will go beyond partisan politics and really fight for their citizens' needs. So I hope that's what we see.
All right, well, I want to thank both of you guys for being here. It was a pleasure getting to do this pre-debate with y'all. And if you guys liked what you see right here with me and Alex and Kellie, don't forget to check them out tomorrow night in the Toyota Baker Auditorium in the Baker Center building. They will be doing their debate at 6 p.m. And that's all for me. Shining Light on UT News, I'm Savanna Jacoby.